So you're a killer?
Sir, yes, sir!
Let me see your war face.
Sir!
You got a war face? Ah! That's a war face. Now let me see your war face.
Welcome, everybody, to Basic Billiards on Channel Starface. I am SithLordFelix with the always great Bryan at FX Billiards. How are you, Bryan?
I'm pretty good. How are you doing?
Hey, can't complain. Actually, I can. I mean, first things first, I'll give you my update. I got creamed on my APA game this week, but I think it's with good reason.
Okay.
They put first. I'll give you two bits of news. One, they downed my rank because of my losing streak, so I'm now a 3 again.
Okay.
But then they put me against a 7. They put me against the 7, and it was pretty one-sided. However, there were a couple of games where I had him a little nervous, and as weird as it sounds, I really think I played pretty good. And I don't know if people were just giving me copium afterwards, but I heard a lot from everyone else who watched the games. Like, you shot good. You're against a 7. I think they were trying to use me as a kind of like a spoiler, maybe, you know what I mean? Knock out the big guy to get a point on a hill, things like that, which makes sense. But couldn't even get on the hill. None of it, just got totally swept.
Well, when you're playing up like that, I mean, there's certain strategies you should use, but and you were playing on the bar box?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. So I have mixed feelings about it, but the handicap 3-7. Here's the problem with the 7 is, let's just pretend Shane was in the APA. He would be a 7.
Sure.
So
yeah,
there's different levels of 7.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, a big spread. And even regionally, as you move around the country, I always say, I'm sure there's some people that don't like when I say this, but there's a New York 7 and there's a Mississippi 7, and they're not the same species. And so one guy might be playing on tougher equipment. One guy might be playing on crappy equipment. One guy might be playing in an area where they're a lot more lenient with the scorecard. Like, I know a lot of people whose rank has been held back because the scorecard where they're playing, people aren't keeping proper score. And what I mean by that is, if you shoot a defensive shot, it has to go on the sheet as a defensive shot, or it goes down as a miss. And so I have guys that are clearly 7s who can't understand why they're not ranked at 7. And I usually say to them, who's keeping score? Look at the scorecard at the end of the game. How many defensive shots went down as misses? So there's a lot of factors. And I made a video, I might have mentioned this last week, on equalizers. And these are all the little factors that take the lower ranked players and the higher ranked players and move them closer together. So, for example, the APA handicap system is one, but the size of the tables, smaller tables, move them closer together. More liberal rules, any ball, any pocket, move them closer together. There's a lot of things. Can't use a jump cue, closer together. All of these, all of these things. Okay, short races, closer together. So the handicap system is broken, but it's always going to be broken. They do the best they can. I don't want to sound like I'm criticizing the APA, their handicap system. They do the best they can with the ammunition and the knowledge they had when they came up with the handicap system. But there's a lot of factors that aren't being considered in the system. So I'm surprised you got moved down, but if you're producing some losses, then it will
do it.
that'll do it.
I think
I was going to say,
I think I've only won one out of my last 5 games. You know, and
Okay.
I'm including the playoff game in there.
Right.
So it's a little humbling. It's like getting left back in school. I won't use a military reference this time. No.
Okay. All right. Here's another way to think about it. Because frankly, people don't understand numbers and they don't understand logic. I mean, they think they understand these things and they are so far off most of the time. And so let me put your win-loss ratio in perspective. Let's say the handicap system is perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay. Theoretically, you should win half your matches, right? If it was perfect, you play a 3 versus a 4, theoretically. Okay.
Right. Fair enough.
Now, if you are supposed to win half your matches and you lose, say 4 out of 5, that's just like flipping a coin that lands on heads 4 times. That's not an extraordinary event.
Yeah.
So you could be on track and not even know it. Also, the fact that that you may be playing with people that aren't ranked properly, or you may not be ranked properly, or so there's a lot of factors, but
Sure.
that's one of those that that you should keep in mind. That's a short sampling, what mathematicians would tell you.
Fair enough. And I'll tell you, I sound like Pollyanna, but I'm feeling good about my game. Even with these losses, there is something that I think I'm really starting to fine tune my stroke, slow it down. Like we talked about this a little bit last week. I didn't have the clips. I couldn't pull them up in time, so we looked at older stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, if you're ready, I'll jump into some of these clips here.
Let's do it.
Beautiful. All right. So here's my first one. I think get a little more complicated, or the runs get a little longer. The attempts get a little longer. So the thing goes. Here's the first one. I thought you'd appreciate this little cute little.
Good job breaking the cluster, huh?
Yeah. Ooh, the 8 ball. Here we go. Oh,
America's favorite scratch shot. You avoided
it. And I avoided it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Tables got refelted, by the way.
Yeah, looks good. I also haven't seen the room from this angle before. So that was a pretty good shot. If you even better if you I'm talking about the shot to get to the, I think that was the 15. If you can you go back 15 seconds to the shot on that? Okay, so hold on. So here,
okay,
you shoot this with half the speed you gave it, and you're on the 8. I don't like what you did. I mean, I don't dislike what you did because you're still going to be on the 8, but I just thought you could have gotten closer to the 8 if you hit this with less speed.
A little less, right? A little less. Go on. I'm sorry.
No, you know what I mean. About half that speed.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, I agree totally. I got a lucky here, but if you notice, I'm really trying not to whack the ball like I have been. For some reason, there's that nasty habit I fell back into.
Yeah. So good
didn't
shot.
Choke on the 8 this time.
Yeah. And you had a tougher shot than you necessarily needed, and you pulled it through. So that's good. This is interesting one.
I had ball in hand.
Yeah. So here's something that players, amateur players,
like
overlook. That they overlook. I really just put people into 2 categories: pros and amateurs. But which I shouldn't, because there's some pros that kind of play at an amateur level. They just happen to play pool, and there's some amateurs that play at a pro level. But anyway, the point that I wanted to make,
talk to me. What
is a lot of people overestimate the value of a pocket hanger, and so you made good use of this ball for position. You did a good job with it, but you're not wrong if you play, 5, 4, 7, 8, or even 5, 5, 4, 7, or 5, 4, 7, 8, or 7, 5, or you're not wrong if you do it. Yeah, but
right.
yeah, a lot of players, they see pocket hangers and they immediately have two thoughts. I can get on another ball from here, and I'm going to make this shot. And think about how many times one of those two things doesn't happen. The pocket hanger is really destroys a lot of people. They just take them for granted. But I like what you did, because if you got out of line on any of these shots, which I don't think you had a chance of being out of line on these two, but if you got out of line, you would have been able to get there. And you did a good job of getting to the rail. People, I've done videos about that. You want to get to the rail. So even if you didn't collide that ball, you would have been in shape.
Would have missed this. If I missed the 14, I probably.
I'm sorry, you broke up, but my point was,
you're breaking up.
If you didn't hit the 14, I think you still would have been in shape. I think we have a little bit of lag.
Okay. Yeah. I think that was my point too.
Okay.
How about now? Is there lag now?
No, it's a little bit of lag, but we're good. This is a good pattern. And I like that. I like that you're taking your time. Some of it is the lag, and some of it is actually you taking your time. But okay. Yeah, I've said it before. You know the drill. Think about getting the cue ball off the rail. Yeah. When you're playing those
still
positions.
have that habit, huh?
Yeah, there's no reason to be there. Think about this. If you had bounced off the rail 12 inches, you would have had an easier shot.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Amen.
now,
I agree.
Yeah, now you're heading. You're going to be a diamond away from here, but it's still a lot of people will find a way to scratch in that other corner pocket.
Oh yeah, and I dreaded the shot when I saw it. I'm like, why couldn't I just bounce off the rail a little bit? Even if it was 1 inch off the rail, I would have had a less.
But even a lot. Think about it. Even if you bounced off a lot, you would have been in pretty good shape. So it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, this is a simple one. Another 3. But if have you been noticing I have not been choking on this 8-ball?
Yeah, and you've been playing some decent patterns. The 1 to the 8, it's not crazy difficult. So I don't mind this pattern. I might have done something different, but this is a pretty good shot. Nice draw, not too much speed. Okay.
Look at that.
Very nice.
I think I cleared the table for good measure on this one.
As you should, especially if you're practicing. People waste so much time in practice. They're doing a drill and they miss the 3rd ball and then they set it up again. It's just madness. I did a calculation on how long it takes me to rack in a year, and I lose something like 10 days worth of I play a lot of pool, but it adds up to like 10 days worth of practice. Or
That's
maybe
crazy,
it was 10
man.
hours, but it was some ridiculous amount of money.
Yeah.
I think it was more than 10 hours, because if you think about, you have my practices are usually going to be in the 5-hour range, because I don't get on the table but a couple times a week, so it's usually 5 hours at the table. But think about how many times, especially at the pace I shoot, and I'm doing a good job of getting the racks off the table. So think about how many times I might rack. So 5 times every half hour. Okay, that's 10 times an hour that I'm spending, that I'm racking. And let's say it takes a couple minutes to do that, and you add that up over over the course of a year. So that's, and I bring it up because a lot of people practice their 9-ball runs by racking and then breaking, and then they miss, and then they rack again and they break, and then they miss 2 shots in. I'm like, dude, you're spending 20, 30, 40% of your time racking the balls.
So
you should be getting in reps.
You should be sinking pockets, right? Or at least trying to sink pockets.
You should be shooting balls in the pocket.
My practice for 8-ball, right, is very simple, because what I'm trying to learn is pattern, and I'm obviously controlling my stroke, things like that. So mine is real simple. I play against myself in 8-ball. If I miss, I get ball in hand.
Okay.
And then I switch to the other, from I switch between solids and stripes.
Yeah.
And with the goal of trying to run out. That's it. You know what I mean? Breaking up clusters, all that fun stuff, and comes into play. Simple enough, and I'm always shooting at the hole.
Nothing bad about that. But I'm glad you mentioned the ball in hand. Anytime a ghost ball video goes up, whether I put it up or Charivari or whoever does a video where you break and take ball in hand, playing against the ghost.
Right.
Somebody in the comments is going to say, "Oh, why did you take ball in hand after the break? You don't get to do that in the game." And it's a little frustrating, because from the question that the person's not going to comprehend the answer. Right. But the answer is, it is a waste of time, certainly in a video, by the way. It is a waste of time to chase around a shot that you would never take in a game, so that you can shoot from wherever you ended up after breaking. It's a waste of time. So while the guy with ball in hand is shooting off balls and practicing his position, Joe Idiot, why are you taking ball in hand? Is chasing the 1 ball around for about a half an hour. Okay. So he never learns to get from the 1 to the 2, because he never makes the 1. He's so busy shooting bank shots and kick shots and all kinds of stuff that he's never going to do. It is the simplest concept. And the funny thing is, I remember, this sounds weird to say this, I remember the weekend that everybody started taking ball in hand after the break in 9-ball practice.
Wow.
And I say it jokingly, because I was at a pool hall. I had seen it a few times before, but I saw a lot of skilled players watching another skilled player practice. And when he took ball in hand after the break on his practice, they're like, "Oh, why are you doing that?" And he explained to them, "Why are you spending 5 shots before you get to the 1 ball, before you can make the 2 ball?" And it was just weird to see this, to remember this moment. And it was pretty much about 15 or 16 years ago. I kind of tell time by how old my kids are. So it was about 15, 16 years ago. And it was, so I call that the weekend that ball in hand became a thing. But a lot of people still don't get it. So I'm sorry.
No, this is why you're here, man. So and also I would have to say that ball in hand is a situation that comes up in pool, and it is one thing I've learned. Bryan has stressed to me that the choices you make with ball in hand really determine everything.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
so don't be afraid of ball in hand during practice, guys. It's a blessing in disguise. You know, it sounds like it's not cheating.
Not at all. Not at all.
All right, so here I am with ball in hand.
I have another ball in hand story, but I'm going to
Here
save
I
it for
didn't.
another week. I'll tell you another week.
Oh. Oh, hey, yeah, hey, come back next time, guys. We got. Is this
I still have
not
a delay.
what you
So
would
you
have
might
done? You're already laughing at me.
No, no. I'm on I'm seeing it on a delay. So you might you're
Oh.
probably a couple seconds ahead of me.
Gotcha.
You're in the future. Oh, nice. That was a decent. That was a decent run. I like the way you leverage the side pocket too. So,
Okay.
And
Okay.
and good job to them for maintaining these tables. I mean, that's
Good tables, right?
yeah. I mean, that's really a lot of places don't need to take care of the tables, and they don't. But these guys look like they're taking care of them. Now, people always complain about, oh, the bar where I play, the tables suck. Yeah, you know why they suck? Because you keep putting money in it. You know?
Yeah,
If
no one
people
cares. No one brushes it.
Exactly. It's a lot easier for me to take $400 or $500 a weekend than to, you know, recover the table and then take $400 or $500 a weekend. But if you stop putting money in there, I'm going to recover the table. I'm going to balance it and all that stuff. So
stop feeding these tables, people. If you don't like the tables, don't feed them.
Exactly. And tell somebody. Tell a lot of people. Tell people, go
Seriously.
on strike. Go on strike.
Bitch and complain, man. It works.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, go on
I don't
strike.
know what happens.
Yeah.
I don't know what happens in other areas of the country, but in Montgomery County, where I play, if the tables suck, people tell you about it. They take the pool very seriously, and yeah, they'll tell a guy in a minute. You know, we're not playing here. We're moving our team because because the tables suck. So.
Yeah.
All right, so I don't think you played a bad pattern, other than I would want to get on the two ball real soon. I don't know if you had an opportunity to, but I would have wanted to get on the two. I like the way you got there, but it just had so many places where it did not go.
Right.
And the three would have been a better K2, because the one ball I think is easier to get on the 8 ball from.
This is where I messed up though.
Yeah, that probably should have been a stop shot. And it's just so hard to get on the 8 from here.
Look at that. Ooh, one of the few.
Good news is you still weren't in line for the
8. Yeah.
So.
But yeah, let's go back here. So I think I was okay until I shot this one. I think I hit it 2 head on. I almost scratched. I was literally hanging on the pocket.
Yeah,
if I would have did a stop, and if I was off the rail.
Yeah, it's okay to jack up and shoot a stop shot there.
Yeah.
It's amazing
you can see
how many
I'm
times. Yeah.
Look at that right there.
Especially people that are taking lessons very often refuse to jack up because they know they're not supposed to, but there's times when you just have to. So you jack up and you shoot a stop shot or a draw shot or whatever. All right, so let's see what we got here.
Okay.
So you're shooting stripes. This is always tough when the balls are laying in order like that.
On my best friend, the rail.
Yeah, there's fewer things that you can do from here. Okay, good shot. This is a good thing to look for, guys. You see balls that are crossed from each other like these two are, and you try to get between them, because very often you can just tap one in and then tap the other in. Well, this is going to be interesting. I can tell this is going to be good already. As soon as I saw you put the draw stroke on there.
Look at that.
Yeah, that's not too bad. Okay. Very nice. And your fundamentals aren't too bad. You're you're staying down on the shot. You're not hitting them too hard. So I think you're
something really clicked. The past
coming
week and a
along
half,
as far
past
as
2
your
weeks, something
fundamentals.
clicked.
Yeah. All right, so here you've got a ton of problem shots. Not crazy difficult ones, but things that need to be addressed. I can't tell if that's, I think that's a stripe on the rail next to your 2.
Yeah, this is the 13, I think, the orange.
Okay.
Orange
yeah,
stripe.
it looks like, okay. So yeah, I'm getting on the 2 here. Because I got.
That's what you would do. Okay.
Yeah, I can only get there from certain places. So this is the opportunity with a little follow shot. I'm probably getting on the 2. And
instead, no, let me do a stun. No, right.
Yeah, and my target of primary interest after the 2 would be the 4, because look at how difficult it is to get on the 4. So I'm looking at shots that are going to be difficult to get on, and working on them right now, using other shots right now to get on them, because the thing I hear all the time is I was going to get on it, and you got on it, but the odds of you getting on it were not that great.
Yeah, it should not be my key ball. The problem shot should not be my key ball, maybe.
Right.
Rarely, I should say, yeah.
I mean, you did a good job of handling this, and keep in mind, and that was an over-under shot. You should have shot it over, because you could make the 8 from a lot of places.
I should have shot it over.
To your right, but to your left is more difficult. So that worked out.
And look at this.
Yeah.
Another.
It's a very rare occurrence in 8-ball that there's only one pattern that makes sense. So you can do things a lot of different ways.
Sure.
Sometimes it's just a bad idea, but other times, and one of what I call advanced player problems, and I am totally as guilty of this as anybody else, is not playing good patterns because of your ability to do things with the cue ball. So,
right.
A lot of low intermediate players, they think to themselves, "Oh, I'm going to get to that 2," and then they never get there. And the advanced players thinking, "Oh, I'm going to get to that 2," is more likely to get there, but still played a bad pattern, which means something bad could end up happening. So
it's bad habits, and if it doesn't hurt you this game, it hurts you next game.
Yeah, so it's a good idea to do things right as often as you can, even when you don't necessarily have to.
Yeah. Now, I had tons of decent clips, but a lot of them were like 3-4 ball runs. But now, like, I feel closer than ever to being able to get to a consistent break and run. Maybe, I feel closer to it than I did a month ago, because I think maybe for like the past 3 months or so, or 2 months, 3 months before that, I feel like I've plateaued. Like I wasn't growing. I was stuck somewhere, and something really happened within the past week and a half. So whenever you feel that way, you guys, you just, best advice I can tell you is just keep playing through it, because breakthroughs happen.
Yeah, and before we go, a quick tip for playing when you're, especially if you're outranked, you're outclassed, you're a 3 playing a 7. This does not mean you're going to win, Okay, I said this in a video, and somebody said, "No, the 7 is still going to win." Yeah, the 7 is probably going to win most of the time. Now,
Right.
that said, we have lost wars. There are people who have lost fights. There are biblical examples of what I'm about to tell you. And it is the David and Goliath effect. The way this works is whatever your opponent wants to do, you want to do the opposite. Okay? 7s want to run racks. So what do? You D them up from the top. You're playing D the whole time. You expand the game. Okay? I haven't played an APA in 15, 20 years. I remember a match where I played a guy who was a 3, who from the break started playing safeties. From the break. And I remember he was a 3. He had a Predator P3Q, because I was joking, he didn't take a shot, but he's got a $1,000 Q. And but I ended up beating him, but it was very frustrating because the table never cleared up.
Yeah, becomes a chess match.
Yeah, and he's just waiting for me to lose my composure and make a mistake, maybe scratch on the 8 or something stupid, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you're going to win, but that is the way to beat a player that especially outranks you by 3 or 4 positions, is to change everything. And when I talk about historical examples, think Vietnam. Think how we wanted to fight the war and how the Viet Cong fought it. Right. So we got a weaker army that's kicking our ass because they brought the fight to the jungle where they wanted to fight, right?
Yeah.
Your biblical example
David
is
and Goliath.
David and Goliath.
Amen.
All right? Yeah. Goliath thinks we're going to have a sword fight, and David's like, I don't think
Bink.
so.
Take his rock to the dome.
Yeah. You're changing the rules right here on the spot. Nobody had done it before. He's like, whoa, there's a rock coming at my head.
Yeah,
I didn't plan for that. So, yeah. So the examples out there all over the place.
Become a nuisance to your opponent.
It is right there in the Art of War, written 600 BC. Wow. If your enemy is strong here, do this. Okay, frustrate your enemy. So that's my tip for beating higher ranked players, is to D them up as long as you can. Hopefully they're going to make a mistake along the way, or you're going to get an opportunity that might not have been there before, but slow the game down. All right.
The safety play is something. It's going to have to happen for me because a lot of my safety attempts backfire. Like, it's almost America's Funniest Videos bad. Like, where I'm like, I think I got a good idea here, and I'll leave them straight in on the shots. Like, it super backfires. So I think we may have to tackle that soon, because even my team coach, he's like, yo, you have to play safety here. This is the way to go. If not, you're going to, So I'm going to need help with that eventually.
Okay.
But all right, I guess that's that. All right. Anything you got going on? Anything you need to plug, Mr. Bryan?
Nope. Just go to fxbilliards.com, and I've got video series, and I have an area of my second website, nwqpool.com, where there's a free download area. Just a FYI to everyone, I'm going to be expanding that area. So You'll be able to download podcasts. I'm going to do a weekly podcast on there. There'll be some diagrams and stuff that don't show up on YouTube for one reason or another. Either they don't fit in with my sponsorships, or they're not appropriate for YouTube, or they wouldn't get enough views on YouTube, stuff like that. I'm putting together a whole different area that people can go to and check out that kind of stuff.
Awesome.
right.
So I will leave links in the description. Guys, if you haven't done it yet, please click like and subscribe. Tick the bell for notifications. Thank you so much for stopping by, and we'll see you next week. God bless
All
everyone.
right. Have a great weekend. Be safe.
Take care. All right.
All right.